Pinchy fiber. Does everybody know the one thing you will need to know for sure? You'll need to know the in order. One of the questions on your lecture exam will be pick out the correct sequence of the conducting system of the heart. Remember that one, SA node, AV node, AV bundle, right and left bundle branches, Purkinje fibers. Now you will have that question on your notes. And so then we're going to go through an EKG and what all these little wiggles mean in an EKG. We'll be getting to that. We'll be getting to that. All right. So there is. Now we had talked about this yesterday. We were down. I think it was indicated that we were down to the follow-up. Is that where we got to, Colleen? That right in here. Now with everybody understanding that, and you know, your SA node is what dictates your heart rate. It instigates the heartbeat. You know, it's the control center, the SA node. Now we do have cardio inhibitory and cardio accelerator nerves that kind of play a little role in slowing down or speeding up. But the main player, as a little boy would say, the mainest player is the SA node. That's the pacemaker, and you want that thing working for you. And as I told you, and talking to Dr. Leachman, as people age a little bit sometimes, it's usually an age-related thing. Sometimes the firing gets a little off sync. And I even talked to my sons, I even talked to them, and they said, Dad, you'd be surprised at the number of people that we see. That's it, they come in for orthopedic issues. The number of people we see that have some AFib. Said it's unreal. Said the number of people, as they get a little bit older, see, I'm a little bit older than you. As people get a little bit older, sometimes the firing mechanism is not quite. There's a little wiggles in the firing mechanism. People live with that, though. They live with it, but the doctors, they want you. You be cautious. You be cautious, as they say. And what they do, they prescribe a little, maybe Coumadin. They prescribe maybe a little. A low dosage, and we're going to talk about the different ACE inhibitor, the beta blockers and so forth. And he was telling me that now they're using a little, when there's a little bit of AFib detected, they're using a little bit of a beta blocker, like a tenolol, a low dosage of a beta blocker, because that affects the SA node. A beta blocker along with an ACE inhibitor, and the ACE inhibitor is like Cozar or Hyzar. The difference in Cozar and Hyzar is Hyzar has some hydrochlorothiazide in it. It has a little diuretic in it. And so we'll get into medications. And you can talk to people. See, now what you can do, all of you, if you don't know, you've been living in a tree. But all of you should know somebody who's taking blood pressure medication. Every one of you. If you don't, you haven't been around. Because most every older person, most everybody is taking blood pressure medication of some type. And then you can find out and what the blood pressure medication is. We can say, well, that's a beta blocker, it's a calcium channel blocker, or it's an ACE inhibitor, angiotensin receptor site inhibitor. Well, there's two types on that ACE business. There's an angiotensin conversion enzyme inhibitor. That's the ACE. Then some of those ACE things work angiotensin receptor site inhibitor, which we'll talk about that too, and how the mechanism about how those things work and how they work to lower blood pressure. But anyway, right here, everybody, the SA node, you already know this. If the SA node is destroyed, the AV node, this is just kind of a follow-up. SA, now remember we used the term ablation the other day? Ablation sometimes, and I knew this big guy that I went to, when we started school, Nikki, in the first grade, he was about 6 feet tall, it seemed like. He was so much taller than every other little guy. And he kept growing, and he grew to be about 6'8". And he ended up playing basketball. He moved from the little school where we were, in the little town, and he came down here and he graduated from Milby High School many years ago, and he carried Milby to the state. He was the key player in carrying Milby to the state championship many years ago in basketball. He went on to Texas Christian University and played ball there, and after that he worked in coaching and various other things. In fact, he ended up working for a trucking company. In the offices for a trucking company doing something there, and he retired from that, but his health got progressively worse and worse. You know why? He was about 6'8". He started smoking. He gained a lot of weight. He had some bad heart conditions. And one thing they did, his name was Alton Adams, and a good friend of mine. I really liked Alton. But the last time he and his wife lived up not too far from where our store was, and it got to the point, Jamie, when he'd come to town with her, he would usually kind of drive the truck. But he couldn't even get out of the truck. He was so just out of shape and in such bad shape. But and his wife, then he quit coming. And I talked to his wife, and she'd tell me what they were doing. One of the last things they did an ablation, put a pacemaker in him. But his heart was so bad, he finally just died. He died.
You know what happened to me?
What?
It was kind of like that. I was always normal and healthy.
Yeah?
And then when I got pregnant, and during my pregnancy, I started having heart palpitations. So they sent me to the cardiologist. And then they made me have my baby. And I had a C-section. And my heart didn't shrink back down after I had my baby. And so I had to they put me on Toprol, blood pressure medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And they were watching it. They're like, oh, if you don't birth control, don't get pregnant again. Well, got pregnant again. And so it was like really high risk. They put me in the hospital for 7 months.
So what now? I'm sorry.
Yeah, they put me in the hospital for 7 months.
Yeah?
Because my heart kept skipping beats and it was too enlarged for all the blood and everything.
I'll show you what skip and beat means too. That's interesting. Skip beat will show you.
And I never, ever, ever, ever had that problem. And then just one day, they just weaned me off the medicine and my heart.
Said everything was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Pregnancy does weird things. It does weird things. It really does. It really, really does weird things. That parasite can make your body respond in so many different. It's a parasite, Nikki.